How can we solve that problem that we here need to find a specific meal and we can't really use our selector here in the navigation options? Now there are two possible fixes. Fix number one is that we again use the good old params to communicate between component and navigation options, as I showed it in the navigation module. Here in the component, we are loading our meal. So of course, here we can use props navigation, set params, and now set the params to a new value here. And now we can use set params to forward the selected meal or its title to the header. And whatever you set here as params, by the way, will be merged with the existing params, so this will not override them. So you'll not override your meal ID, which you're retrieving here. That will still be there. You're just adding something new. You're only overriding a param if it already exists in the params. So here we could add the meal title key and set this to selected meal.title. Now this means that I send these params to my header when this component renders in the end. Now, since this will change props, we would typically end up in an infinite loop. So to break this, we'll use effect here, as I showed it in the navigation module, and actually do that inside of use effect. So here we can use effect, and as a dependency, I'll specify an empty array for now, and then set params here inside of the useEffect function, and I won't have an empty array here. Instead, my dependency here is my selected meal. When that changes, I want to forward the new information to the header. Now we'll see if that works. Let's go to the header, and there we can now retrieve that from the parameters. So here I have my meal title. I can get this with navigation data.navigation get param meal title. That was the name I chose when setting the params. Here. Now with the meal title selected here, we can set header title to the meal title and comment this line out because it won't work anyways. And let's give this a try. Let's save this and go to the detail page. And whilst this works, you'll see a problem. When this loads, initially there is no title, and this only pops in after a while. So only after this is fully loaded, we see that title pop in, which isn't too beautiful. And the reason for that simply is that our logic here works, but since useEffect runs after the component has been rendered for the first time, we wait for the component to render for the first time until we send the params to the title. And that means that when this transition is still playing and the rendering hasn't been fully finished, we're not really showing that title. That's why this might not be the optimal solution here, and I will comment this out. A better solution here, as cheap as it might sound, but there's also a solution which you can often use, is that you simply forward the title which we'll need here from inside the component you're coming from, so that you load it when you're in the component that will go to this component, and you send it to this component before it's loaded. So let's send the data in advance, and we're coming from either the favorites screen or the category meal screen. There, we're in the end tapping an item in the meal list, and in both items, in both components, favorite screen and category meal screen, we are using meal list, which is good, because that means we can go to meal list here, and there we have this navigate action. And now simply besides passing the meal ID, it would be good if we here already pass the meal title. Because here we have it available, right? Item data, item title. That's our title of the meal. By simply supplying it here, we solve all the problems we have on the other screen. So that's definitely the approach we want to use here. So by setting that param here on the component where we trigger that navigation action to the meal detail page, we fixed this issue because now you see the title is there right from the start and we have no problem at all there. And the same, of course, also on Android if we give it a try there. My emulator is just a bit slow, but you can generally see it there as well. So that is how we can work with data in the header when we need it from Redux. And with that, we have a solid first state. We're able to use our Redux data. What we're not really able to is change it. So that's the next step. We want to add some logic so that we can change the data, that we can mark favorites, and that we can filter our data.